Well, before I proceed further on tonight on Daunted, Barrister Mbeseha, our in-house analyst, is in the studio. And of course, he was on the exclusive discussions with Mr. Tar on Saturday and heard his voice. Well, adding the press release or communique by the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Barrister Mbeseha, well, he highlighted some other aspects of these particular strange visit of Mr. Turk. Barrister Mbeseha, what would you have to say?
Well, thank you for having me once more to continue this debate. See, there's a lot in what we say and do. Now, our Saturday discussion, the debate, some people probably misunderstood what I was talking about. I did not say that people should not talk. I never said that. I said that when we address issues of the international community, we should know the language we use. We should be polite. We should know that we're not talking to individuals. We're talking to a community of people. The United Nations Human Rights Commission is made up of 47 countries, so it's not a small thing. And whoever comes out to represent them is doing some diplomacy for the United Nations as far as human rights is concerned. And I insisted that when there are so many organizations in the UN, each has a specific mission. They cannot solve all your problems. So when they come out for their own direct mission. For example, UNESCO. If UNESCO were to come out, they'll be coming out for education, nothing but education. These people are coming out for human rights, and they address human rights. Like it or not, they address human rights. And the mistake we also make is that we take statements or reports. What the last visit of Tucker is not a report. No, it's not a report visit for 3 days to Yaoundé. It is a statement. The report will follow. The report is going to contain more details. For example, the last visit of Bachelet was in 2019. They issued a statement, 2 pages. And thereafter, a report followed, 19 pages. That's where you find the details of what was discussed, what was recommended, and what was not done, or what has been done. That report, 19 pages, was followed in 2001 by another follow-up report of, I think, 15, 16 pages of what has gone on between 2019 and 2021. And so what I said here was that we could not adequately address the statement if we had not yet read the 2019 report, the 2021 report, and what they are coming out to do. Until you have those 3 elements in your hands, you cannot claim to report, to criticize or to condone it. No, that's just wrong. And so that's what I said. Looking at what the president has signed, if you read what the president has signed, it starts from 2019. In other words, the president's statement comes from the 2019, 2021 to today. So they have a comprehensive view of what the human rights situation is all about. And so let us brace again for another report. A report is coming out. Just before coming online now, I was listening to Willie, who was giving us some information as to what transpired behind the screens at the presidency with these visitors. So there will be a report that will carry more details of what happened. You see, I know we're all angry, we're all anxious. We must also try to understand diplomatic language. Diplomacy is difficult. It is short in words,
I agree with
but
you
has to carry.
Barrister Mbeseha, I agree with you when you talk about diplomatic language, but in a visit as sensitive as this particular one, you're visiting the war-torn areas, or let's just whatever he tagged it as, conflict areas, whatever he tagged it as. You're coming to visit, and you didn't pay a visit to any of the scenes. He may not even believe how destroyed these people are. He may not believe how destroyed Ambazonians are. He may not even get to understand how damaged this war has caused on Ambazonia by not even paying a visit to these areas. No. If you want to analyze it logically, you want to understand, you want to have dialogues between the two sects, the La Republic du Cameroun and the aggrieved people of Ambazonia. You want to weigh things, balance things, and then drop your conclusions from there. Wouldn't you expect that to have been done?
It could have been done, but again, let us understand this visit. This was, in my own opinion, a follow-up of the 2019-2021 report. That's why if you read just that statement, it says the number of things that had occurred between 2019 and today. Dialogue, which is recommended in the last visit, which according to Yaoundé, it has taken place. They address it there in that statement, that short statement. Dialogue is not yet enough. They say, address the people who have grievances. That solves it. They discussed DDR in the last meeting. If you see 2021 update, something is talked about DDR. They address it and say it is not working. Improve on it. They addressed things like the 2014 law on terrorism. It was addressed in 2019. For example, I read the report. The Human Rights Commission told Yaoundé to change that law.
Okay.
They have come back 2024 and addressed it again. No, this thing will tell you about this military tribunal.
Oh, seems we have.
So we have to understand the perspective from which they are writing. It is a mistake, a very big mistake for us to think that they don't have the facts. They don't just leave the offices empty-handed. They have, remember, they have a lot of human rights affiliated to the Human Rights Commission. They have those reports. What happened in Cameroun, in Mbeseha in 2017, the pictures in Garbu. In fact, they addressed in Garbu in 2019. And in 2021, they asked Yaoundé, what have you done with this Ngaribu thing? Yaoundé lied. That's why we've tried them. They addressed the Anglophone problem in 2019. Say lawyers, talk of teachers. Those things were all there. And they came out in 2021 again. What did you do with all this thing of teachers, lawyers protesting, magistrates, and so on and so forth? So I think, in my own opinion, they are not coming, they didn't come to Yaoundé now for another fact-finding mission. They came as a follow-up to what had been discussed, to which some of us were party to them. That's a fact. We were probably not invited, but I'm sure, I cannot guarantee that, but the president was aware that they were coming. I can also tell you from my own private investigation, what are on people on the ground in Yaoundé, in that some of our people talk to them. So they are not going back empty-handed. They have all those facts there. Again, let us watch out for their final report. But it's important that we as the government, who have written out something, we should go into their files. We have written it early enough, so that by the time they come in with their final report of their visit, we'll have this information, what has concerned us there. And again, the United Nations Human Rights Commission does not have the power. They don't have to come and force Yaoundé to do something. They don't have the power to force Ambazonia to do something. They recommend. But what can we do with their report? We can take their report up in our next phase. The people who do it without the colonization is not human rights. We can take it there as evidence. For example, I don't know how many of us have read Communication 266. In Communication 266, that's the Banjul. The issue of southern independence came up. And it was ruled. Yaoundé said, look, you can have your independence. If only you can prove that there has been gross exaggeration of human rights. This is in writing there. So in our next way, we can say, well, Yaoundé agreed to this. This is a report from the United Nations Human Rights Commission. Do you doubt this? This is the report. What happened to us? And so we must know how to use what we have, when to use it. At best, again, this commission can recommend anything. Of course, they recommended, for example, the military tribunal. Yeah, there's no respect to it. There's nothing they can do. They recommended so they recommend this, they oversee human rights throughout the United Nations member countries. Whether the conflict is internal or external, they want to be sure that even in conflict, there are rules that govern conflict. Internationally, if you are fighting a war, just like there are rules that govern the family with your husband. If you are fighting with your husband or your wife domestically, you are not allowed to take a knife and choke her. Just because you think let us look at those things with care. As again I've said, based on what the president it took 19 pages to write. What Troka put out there, 4 pages. It's just a statement on what they did. Okay. So whether we react on it, that's okay.
Is that right? I love how diplomatic you are when we get to sensitive issues like this. I'm sure that some Amazonians would definitely agree with you. But while understanding you're keen about the way Amazonians in general express themselves or make their points, I've heard you say, let's mind the words we use and all of that. But don't you think, like on Saturday, while watching the exclusive discussion with you, Barrister Fu, and of course Professor Bridget Tebo, she said on Saturday that Amazonians need to be allowed to vent, to express themselves in every situation, especially with this particular situation when the UN and La Republic du Cameroun would organize such visits. Now, that's not just the reason. Now, if I want to take you back to probably when the Palestinian and the Israeli activists, when they want to express themselves on major TVs, you watch how critical, how objective, better still, let me say, how assertive they are with their words. Should you think Ambazonians should keep on being on the diplomatic side of always being cautious of their word, or they should be able to react because the word needs to hear how they actually feel, and you can't express yourself without saying, expressing, and showing how you feel?
Oh, well, I think you and me sitting here, we're free to feel, we're free even to cry here. That is our right. Actually. But what I said was, when the government reacts, because the UN is not going to listen to you or listen to me. Oh. They are listening to the voice of the government. That's what counts. Now, what you and me are saying. But they listen to me now because I'm on ABC. ABC is the voice of this government. And so what I say here counts a lot. What I said last Saturday, which I will emphasize, is that in this struggle, we have people who have influencers, who have, call it freelancers. Okay. People who just put out videos. We have people who do it on behalf of government, who support this government. If you are one of those people who is, call it Willie, call it UN, who is doing it on behalf of the government, we must also be careful with the words we use. Because above all, that thing you call the Human Rights Commission, it's not a matter of trees, it's a matter of human beings. And I gave the example. If you are addressing the Human Rights Commission, if you dislike what they wrote down, for example, if you are so angry what you wrote down, put it out there. But it's not Turk. Turk was just the head of the delegation. He was just the head of the delegation. It was not Bachelet. She was not the head of the delegation.
So you
So
think
if you
that
address
when they
Tucker,
all, you think that when they all go back, they would see that, reunite, and reanalyze, and probably come back with something more tangible and something more positive for Ambazonians who are vexing at this point in time? You think is what is likely going to happen? Because even on Saturday, you did mention and emphasize the fact that he was not alone. So I thinking it's something about going back as a team, reanalyzing,
of
and probably
course,
coming back
we
with
are
something
quoting,
positive.
we are now quoting Bachelet. Bachelet is no longer there. It as the head of that team is still there, documented there. 10 years, 50 years is going to remain there. Tucker would leave sooner or
Okay.
later on retirement or anything, but the document will remain there. What I said, let me re-emphasize it. If you take Tucker, for example, or they take you sitting there, and they say, Paul, they start with your private life. What's your private life? The school you went to, the university you went to, whatever in your life. That's personal. That's personal. Even if you didn't go to any school and they named you head of this radio here, you are doing a job. So we should not be attacking for you, for example, you calling your this one not even qualified, she knows nothing. No, that's not your problem. Your problem is the report which is given. Someone can come and question me. Don't question me that this man does not have a PhD in law. I don't need to have a PhD. If I don't have it, I'm doing the work for the government. So that's my caution. I've not said people should not be angry. People should be angry individually, but collectively, as a government, we should be cautious. And I think I stand vindicated. If you read what the president has written, 4 pages, you're not going to find an iota of insult, of iota of personal things concerning any of the commissioners there. They have made their point, whether you like it or not, but the point has been made politely. It's not anger that will make people understand your point. It is the argument behind your point, not your frustration and your anger. That's what I said. I didn't say, like someone said, I didn't want people to talk. No, people should talk. But there are different levels of talking. When I
Oh,
come here, for
wow.
example, I know that I'm on ABC. I've made words carefully because somebody might be following me. So,
Okay.
this is official. If I'm writing my private communication to you, I can say anything about what that. But when I'm on this official channel, this is important for us to observe. I'm not saying that we should embrace all what they say. There are many things that they say that we don't like. That's a fact. But let us address them cautiously, politely. Again, as I've always said, let us make our point. Let us disagree without being disagreeable. If Tucker took off that thing and saw that, well, this man does not know anything, he's just a first degree holder, he's going to be personally angry because you're assaulting him. That's just human.
All right. Moving on.
That's the point.
Yes, moving on. During that interview, that exclusive discussion, you did mention about documenting the grievances. Well, we hope that an inclusive report will be documented after this from Ambazonian side, and as well as from the UN side as well. Well, it is rather unfortunate, if I would include at this point in time, that Mr. Volker questioned Ambazonian civil disobedience of Monday Ghost. And I think that is one aspect that everybody agreed that he was really wrong and out of place. But then we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that, and definitely come back after a few reports to talk about some other stories. I mean, we're talking about lockdown and ghost town. We have
Yeah,
Mercy.
before okay, let me just correct. Let me add something to what you have just said. We all disagreed with the statement, just a statement they made about lockdowns and school
Lockdown,
resumption.
yes. Yes.
Yeah, school
That's what I'm
resumption
saying. We
is
all
not
agree on
my
that.
job. No, no, no,
We
no, what I'm trying to
all
say is
agreed
this.
that
Listen to
we
me.
disagreed. We all agree now
Yeah,
that we disagree with that.
no, no, what I'm trying to say now is this. We all agree that was wrong. But whether it is ghost town or no school resumption, it is not my personal responsibility. The president's statement has put that point clear. That as a
Obviously.
policy of this government, this one is there. It has come now out of the official mouth of the chief who hates this revolution. So is that correct? Perfectly correct. That from the statement we say, no, this statement is wrong. It has been addressed rightly now by the by the rightful people without insulting them, without being disagreeable, without being disagreeable. And so is what diplomatic language, diplomatic communication is about. If you were to put these release into one room with Gazans or Palestinians, probably they will come and fight, but you discover they discuss this in their own fight. If you live in the US, you realize that, for example, the United States have been able to negotiate and bring their prisoners from Russia and say, well,
Yes.
I'll let your guy go if you give me this, if you do this. That's how diplomacy works.